Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you're located. Welcome to Flexxbuy Merchant Training for our direct to borrower financing program, financing platform, actually. A little background. The direct to borrower platform is a platform of give or take approximately 10 lenders that will approve consumers from prime, from the best of credit scores down to credit scores that are considered very subprime into the 500s. Just a little background. This is the most broad credit-based platform that I know of out there. But when I say that it will approve people down into the 500s, it doesn't mean that every consumer with credit scores in the 500s will get approved. The higher the credit score, the higher the chance of that borrower getting approved. So when somebody has a credit score into the 500s, we will approve some people. One or two of our lenders may approve them, but the chances are much less of for them getting approved than if they have credit score 650 or 700. So I just want to clear that up right away because I don't want my support staff getting calls that, hey, John Smith has a credit score of 580. How come he wasn't approved when you had said you'll approve people as low as 550 or whatever the score may be. So I just want to clear that up. It's like I said, it's a multi-lender platform. As you will see, it's a very simple platform to use. It's just you put the application in, and within a matter of seconds you'll get a decision. So it's either going to show you the offers by our lenders, or it will say that no match has been found at this time. But either way, it's a very, very simple process. It shouldn't take your customer more than a minute and a half to complete the application, and then the decision is easier. So, the big question is, and obviously you've made the decision to try financing, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this training video, is why financing and not just stick with credit cards and cash? Just to take this into consideration, every time as a business you offer another avenue in which the consumer can pay you, it's going to include more consumers. So, think about it, back in the days before credit cards, it was basically cash or layaway. So if somebody didn't have cash, they couldn't have the product or service. Then credit cards came along, and what did that do? Once credit cards became common in the consumer world, all of a sudden that opened up a lot more customers to you. Financing does that as well because there's a lot of people out there that either don't have the money, or B, don't want to spend whatever money they have, or C, have a credit card or have some kind of credit access, but don't want to use it up to buy the product or service that you are offering. That they'd rather do separate financing. And there's a lot of people, and that's why this program is as popular as it is. Um, so then the next question we get for some merchants, well, why don't I just send, this is a direct to borrower platform, so the consumer gets the money and then pays the business. So the next question we get sometimes is, why shouldn't I just send the consumer to a bank and then I don't have to pay any fees for it? So, yes, you can do that, and a lot of businesses do that before they become familiar with our product and the and what it has to offer. But two things will happen. One is if you send your customer to a bank, you're basically dependent on whatever that bank's criteria is, and most banks are looking for customers that have a credit score of 680, 700, 720 plus. So when that customer gets turned down, chances are you're never going to hear from them again. That's one bank. Our platform has many lenders. So if one doesn't like the customer, there's maybe another one that may. So it's going to give you many more at bats at getting someone approved. The second thing is, as you will see through this training, our system is designed to create a bridge between you and your customer. So even though the money goes to the customer, and as I'll show you, how to structure a sale, because of the communication that we're having both with your customer and with you, you'll basically see that you know we make the transaction happen. So once the loan is funded, you'll know about it. Your customer completes the transaction. And the big question is, well, what happens if my customer takes the money and does something else with it? That can absolutely happen. But does it happen very often? It happens very, very infrequently because of the system we put in place, particularly for our clients that basically structure their sale the way that we suggest that they structure the sale. So I'm very excited about this program. We've been doing this a while. As at the time of this recording, we've been doing this platform now about 2 years, and have had some amazing results. The success of your particular clients will really depend on your client base. So we have some businesses that will see 70, 80% approvals from their applications, and we have some businesses, because of the kind of business they are, will see 10, 20, or 30% approvals. It really depends on who your clients are. And we do our best at all times, to add as many lenders to the platform as possible, to cover as many type of customers as possible. But frankly, there are some people out there that shouldn't have financing. They just haven't proven a very good risk. So that's a broad overview of the program. So let me go through the mechanics. So because you're on this call, you should have received a welcome email. I'm going to show you what that should look like. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so this is a welcome email that Dan sends from our office once you're approved. Oops. Okay. So once you're approved, you see this welcome email. And this is a pretty standard email. We change it from time to time, but it's important that you read this email thoroughly, because it will give you everything you need to get started. So the first thing is, it talks about you should have received your invitation for our Flexxbuy back office portal, which is Highrise, and this is the link for it. And basically, this Highrise platform, and I'm going to show it to you in a little bit, but it basically is your management system for managing applications. So that's where all the notifications are as far as what's going on. You'll be notified of any decisions on applications through this high rise. You'll be notified of statuses. You'll be notified of funding. You'll be notified of fee collections and that kind of thing. So it's important. So the email will look like this. This is what you will get from high rise. Let me pull this in. Okay, it's a very simple email, and it's from, you're invited to join Flexxbuy LLC on Highrise, our contact management system. So once you click on this link, it will take you to the login page where you create your username and password. And once you do that, you have access to Highrise. That being said, you probably don't need to access Highrise all that much. I would certainly, you know, create the password and save it someplace, because you will want to access it. You may want to do a report on your existing clients, or or clients that have been funded. But either way, you want to have access. But what we do is anything important, such as application results or application fundings and notifications, we send out emails through the Highrise. So whatever email you have on file with us, you're going to be sent an email that basically tells you, so and so has applied for an application, and here's the result. We tried contacting them, and here's what happened. So you'll be emailed along the way. So as long as you look for emails from us through Highrise, you'll be in very good shape. Plus, I think we do a very, very good job of communicating with our clients all along the way. So that's the Highrise invitation, and that's in this email. So you just have to click on it, create it, so then you have access to Highrise. The next thing that's in this uh, um, welcome letter is your application, is your smart application link. So I'm going to show you that in a second, but every one of our clients gets a unique application link that is, just for them. So any application that comes in through the system using that link will know that it's associated with your business. So it's very important. And let me just quickly show you that, and I'm going to go back to this letter in a second. Okay. So you click on that link, and this is your application. So it's really important that you use that exact link that's in the welcome email, because if you notice up here, there's a different URL. There's a very long URL. What we have some merchants do is some merchants will copy and save that URL so they don't have to use the shortened one. I don't know why they wouldn't do that, why they would do that. But occasionally we have a reason where we have to change this long URL, and rather than use an old application, we prefer you just use the shortened link, which is going to have your name in it or some reference to your business. But I'll go back to that in a moment. But first, let me go over what else is in this email. This email also has reference to um, our user manual. So this user manual is very, very important. Here's a link. It's in our Dropbox, so you can access it. But let me just show you what this user manual looks like. You click on it, and okay. So what you can do is with this user manual, let me make this a little bit smaller for you so you can, if I can figure out how to do that. Okay. This basically, everything I'm going to talk about, hopefully today, will be in this user manual, and it's pretty. There's a quick start guide, and it's got illustrations. It's a pretty good thing to have. So what I would suggest is, click on that link, get the user manual, and then save it and download it, or even print it and have it available to you. But we go into great details in this user manual, and as you'll see, the process really isn't you know that complicated. So just go through it, and just have it as a reference. But you know, as a better reference is really us, because we're going to be there to help you every step of the way should you have any questions. But so that's the user manual. Let me go back, and I'm not going to, like I said, I'm going to go over most of, if not everything that's in that user manual. But let me go back to this application. So this is where everything starts. Uh, okay, make sure you can see that again. So hopefully you can see my screen there. Um, so this is the application. I'm going to go through this very, very quickly, because it's pretty self-explanatory. So our platform will take applications from $1,000 to $40,000. Okay, so and one question that always comes up is, okay, well, if my borrower put in an application for $10,000 but was declined, will it help their chances if I put in for $5,000? And the short answer is no. What our lenders will do is our lenders will offer a lesser amount if they qualify for a lesser amount. So you don't have to change the loan amount. If you don't do the application again at a lower loan amount. If somebody is declined, unfortunately, that is, they're declined for any kind of loan. Also, when you get offers, you'll notice that it's not just going to come back with offers for the amount that you or the borrower applied for. It's going to give offers, it may give a little bit less, and it may give more depending on what the borrower qualifies for. The loan purpose is just for illustration, it's just for survey purposes only. It's really not that important. Everything else has to be completed accurately. So name, address, email address. The estimated credit rating is not important. That's just survey information. Gross annual income and net income, that's very important, because with this lending platform, it's not it's what you'll get is an instant decision. So if somebody is instantly pre-approved, that pre-approved is not in the bank. Okay, so it's subject to verification of some of the information that has been provided on this application. So the one thing that every one of our lenders will ask for is proof of income. So if they're a salaried employee, they'll probably ask for a couple pay stubs. If they're self-employed, they may ask for tax returns or bank statements. Every lender has their own approach um, to what they look for. But just make sure that you emphasize to your potential customer to be accurate with this information. Let the lender have the correct information, because if it's incorrect, you may get a false pre-approval, and then you'll come back and the borrower can get turned down because the information didn't match up to the application. So it's really important that they be accurate with this information. And same thing with all the other pertinent information. I mean, obviously, social security number has to be accurate. That's what they're going to go by. So salary frequency. Make sure that they put down. Oh, this is gross annual income. So make sure that they understand what's being asked. So they're being asked, how much do you make per year before taxes or any other deductions? The next is net monthly income. So how much do you take home each month? And it's a pretty simple calculation. Most people can do it. If they get paid weekly, they can do the paycheck, the net paycheck times 4.3. That's the calculation. If they get biweekly, it's half of that. So just a matter of getting the right number in there, or as close to the right number as possible. And then salary frequency, how often do they get paid? So it's really important that they, like I said, this, as you can see, there are not a lot of lines here that they ask for. So it's just important that they fill in whatever's there accurately, and then see my rates, and they'll get a decision. And let me show you what the decision looks like. Decision, once they put the application in, oops, I'll show you. This is just a image. It's not the actual application. So you'll see that. Let's see. This is just partial of it, but you'll see that in this case, they got offers. And then at the same time, when they get an offer, they're also sent an email. So let's say you're doing the application for, let's see if I can make this bigger. If you're doing the application for your customer for whatever reason, or the customer doesn't want to make a decision right there and then, basically they'll also be emailed a decision with a link to their offer. So they're going to have a couple different ways of getting to their application, and getting to their offers, or to their decision. And this is done, like I said, it's done instantly. So as soon as that submit button is hit, it basically gives them an instant a decision. Now, big question: what kind of interest rates can the customer expect? So because this platform is so broad, it's not like Wells Fargo. It's not like a neighborhood bank who's going to approve only everybody that has excellent credit. This will approve people that have prime credit, and the highest credit is 850 FICO score, and it will approve people as low as, like I said, in the 500s. So because of that, there's a very wide range of interest rates and APRs, from APRs as low as 5.99% to as high as 35.99%. Most of them are somewhere in between, but we've seen them all, and it really depends on your borrower. So, the thing to keep in mind is that when people make decisions on financing, it's really more about what is the monthly payment going to be. So, you know, try to discourage, and we do that when we call your customer, but try to discourage them from getting hung up on the interest rate. The big question is this loan affordable for you on a monthly basis? And does it match your desire to make that purchase? So that's the most important thing. The other thing to keep in mind is that there's no prepayment penalty on these loans. So if somebody, is expecting an income tax return or some other kind of, money from someplace, or they think they can pay it off, or just want to, delay having to use up their resources, they can pay it off at any time and not have any penalties. So it's different than some of the other programs that are out there. Like, there's some lease programs that are out there that, once you lease, you're going to have to, if you pay it off, 4 months later, you're going to have to pay a substantial amount of the initial lease amount. This is not the case. There's no prepayment penalty, so it can be paid off any time. So that's the loan application, and I'm going to come back to this in a little bit, this application, but I want to talk about constructing a sale. So let me I'm going to. Well, I'm going to talk about construction after. But first, I want to show you. I want to go back to high rise and show you what you're going to see as far as the process goes. So the first thing is, um, and I'm doing this a little bit out of order, but let me just bear with me one moment. Okay. So once an application is submitted, um, it will come in. It will be no. You'll be notified through our high-rise CRM, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay. So you'll see here an application, application pre-approved. It will show you the programs. It will show you the APRs. It will show you all the offers that the customer got. So you can see in this case there were a lot of different offers at different interest rates, different terms, different dollar amounts, and the consumer can pick whatever it is that they want. And then once we get into it, and you'll see through this high rise, we will notify you. So we're going to start contacting your customer on your behalf. So we're going to leave a message for them, whatever amount of time, have conversations, let you know what's going on every step of the way. Hopefully, you're going to be in touch with your customer as well, and then we're going to notify you when the loan has been funded, show you, yes, it's been funded for $3,500. You can now complete your sale, and our funding fee will be billed, collected in approximately 10 days. And this is the way the whole thing is constructed. So this high-rise CRM is very, very important. If you go back there, you'll see what's going on. But the other thing about it is that you'll also be emailed all these notifications as well. So you'll be notified if anything important is happening on your customers. Um, okay, so that was that. Let me talk about how to construct a sale. I think it's really, really important that you understand that. So okay, I'm going to go back to the application. So your customer, your potential customer is in your office, and they basically, you've decided on selling them something, a product, a service, whatever it may be, and there's a price. Let's see, it's $3,000. So the question is, how do you construct your sale to make sure you're going to get enough money and the customer is not going to fall short? There's a couple things to take into consideration. This is very, very important. Okay, one is you're going to have fees with us. So whatever your fee structure is with us, and you can look at your merchant agreement, um, factor in. You may want to factor in that amount of money as far as the loan amount is concerned to make sure that they borrow enough money to be able to you know, cover you on the fees. Now we have a lot of businesses, and I say most of our businesses say, you know what, the fee that Flexxbuy charges isn't that much higher than a credit card transaction. So you know what, we're just going to absorb that fee and consider it the cost of doing business because it basically brought me a customer that I otherwise would not have. So it's really up to you. If your profit margin is very, very thin and you feel you can't absorb it, by all means, you can work it into your sale. And I'm not going to show you how to do that now, but if you go to the user manual, go through it. There's a way to structure the the fees into your sale so it doesn't cost you anything. The other thing to take into consideration is some of our lenders, not all of them, but some of our lenders also have closing costs. That has nothing to do with you, but it's going to come off the top as far as your consumer is concerned. So, the closing costs can be anywhere from zero, which is some of our lenders, and then up to 5 or 6%, which is other lenders at certain terms. So some of the lenders that charge the closing costs, it's not a flat closing cost. It really depends on the individual case. How much is the loan amount and how long is the term? If they go to 60 months, which is the maximum term, um, they usually pay the maximum closing costs. So you got to, take that into consideration, or at least remind the customer to take that into consideration, so they can borrow enough money to, to cover the sale. Otherwise, they got to come up with that themselves. The other thing is that what I want to emphasize is, and this is very very important. Um, the way we train you as a client is when your customer gets a pre-approval and they find a pre-approval that they like, it's something they want to go forward, we encourage you to take a deposit to hold whatever you're selling them. So if it's a product or service, take a deposit, so it basically will just further lock them in. So it doesn't have to be a ton of money. I have some merchants that will take 50 or $100 just to lock them in. Some will take 10% of the job to lock them in. Whatever you feel is appropriate, take something to lock them in. It's more of a psychological thing. So if they do walk away and don't you know finish what they started, at least they feel they're going to lose something. So there's something to be lost there. Um, it does create a bridge, and it does make a difference. So the you know the over our history, the clients that have had customers walk away and not complete a sale, often we'll ask them, "Did you take a deposit?" And the answer is usually no, that they no that they didn't take a deposit. So it's really important that you take a deposit of some sort to lock them in psychologically. As you saw when I showed you the high rise CRM, we do communicate or attempt to communicate with your customer every step of the way. So in their mind, the loan that they're taking out is for whatever product or service you're selling them. So we do our best to hammer that home. And if you follow our system and work with us, everything will work right. What I suggest is when you do submit your first deal, get in touch with us and make sure we're holding your hand, at least for that first one. So once you walk through that first one, you'll see how easy it is, and we'll coach you through it, and it's not going to be a headache. And we'll be communicating with you anyway through High Rise, and making those kind of suggestions. So that's very very important, and you know uh, we want to emphasize that it's the kind of thing that you should do. Also, we stay in touch with the customer and make sure that they finish the loan process. Now the question is always, how long does the loan process take once somebody is pre-approved? Lately, we've seen a lot of loans come through in one day. So what does that mean? That means your customer was motivated. They signed into their loans. They agreed to the terms. They saw what was needed of them. They went right away and took, their pay stub and took a picture of it and uploaded it and got the approval and got the loan funded in a day. There are some people that get hung up. There are some people who are less sophisticated, from a technology standpoint than others, and they may have trouble. If that is the case, ask your customer, are you having trouble with any part of this process? Let us talk to them. Let us walk them through it and see if we can help them. It's very important. If they can't finish the process with the lender, they're not going to get funded. This day and age, it's not that big of an issue. Most people know how to upload from their computer. They know how to take a picture and send it in. But we can help people. We can walk them through it, or maybe we can suggest that you do it for them. So, if it's the kind of thing where you're doing a face to face with them, and they're having trouble, maybe they can come into your office, drop off the pay stub, and you could have them log into their account, and they can upload it through, you can show them how to do it. So, the documents, unfortunately, is a necessary evil with these lenders. And like I said, we can see fundings in a day. We can also see fundings in 10 days, 2 weeks, whatever it may be. Obviously, the quicker the funding takes place, the quicker you get your money, and you get paid. And also, the quicker we get paid, because that's what we're in the business for. So once the sale is complete and everything has been done and the consumer funds, is funded, then they complete the sale with you. They can pay you however you want. They can write a check. They can pay you by cash. They can pay you by debit card. The money will be in their bank. So it's really between you and them. And we give you 10 days approximately to complete the sale. At the end of 10 days, we're going to automatically take our funding fee. Now, here's the thing. So we charge you a funding fee based on the invoice amount or the loan amount, whichever is less. So if let's say you have an invoice amount, and we'll take the application as the invoice amount unless you tell us otherwise. Let's say it's $3,000, but the consumer takes out a loan for 10,000 because they say, as long as I got approved, let me take out this loan and pay off a couple credit cards. We're not going to bill you on $10,000. We're only going to bill you on the $3,000 that you needed for your job. So that's very important. If you feel there's a discrepancy, just let us know. Send us an invoice of the actual amount. Say, all right, the customer applied for 3,000, but the invoice is really 2,000. Send us an invoice so we can bill you accordingly. We want you to use this program often. So we don't want we don't want you to say, oh, the fees are going to get in the way. The fees really should not get in the way. They're really, really modest, and they're really low from industry standards. So it's very, very important that that you understand that and that you communicate with us. That's the most important thing. Stay in communication with us. And I'm just going to show you the user manual again because it has all the important contact information in there. If I could find the user manual. Let's see. Bear with me. Oops. What I wanted. Yeah, let me get to user manual. Okay. So the user manual will have all the contact information that you need for us. And I'm going to make this smaller a little bit so you can see it. But you'll see on top, um, the top number is the one you should use, the business relations number. So if you have any questions, if you're sitting with an applicant, um, or if you have any questions, any point in the process, you want some help, you can call us at 866-343-5268, or you can also email us at support@flexxbuy.com. And either way, you'll get to know us very, very well. So you'll get to know us, our support staff if you start doing some deals with us, and that's what we're here for. As we said, we're here to help you fund loans and help you make sales. Businesses that use financing correctly can see an increase of 20 to 40% in their sales. Now, when I say they can using it correctly, what do I mean? There are two ways businesses use financing, okay? And one is the way most businesses use it. Somebody comes in, they're shopping around, and or they call up and they're asking questions, and then when the salesperson or the business owner senses that they're not going to make a sale, they throw it out there that, oh yeah, we offer financing. Why don't you give that a shot? The smaller percentage, but the smarter businesses use it a little bit differently. They use it proactively. So however they're marketing for their customers, whether it's print ads, whether it's online ads, whether it's telephone, they mention right out there, financing offered. Okay, we offer financing, all credit considered. Come on and submit an application. These applications, by the way, have no impact on the credit report, so there's no inquiries for somebody submitting an application. So there's absolutely no risk. If the customer doesn't like the application, doesn't like the offers, they don't have to take it. But you know, push the financing out there, because what's the worst thing that's going to happen? The worst thing is they get turned down, and now you've got somebody in your loop. Maybe you have them emotionally attached to the product or services that you offer. And in some cases, they're going to find a different way of making the sale, purchasing, because they really want what you have to sell. So, they may turn if they got turned down. We get a lot of people who love the financing because it even helps them make sales on the declines. And the ones that do get the financing, you know, some most of the time they'll take the financing into sale that you otherwise wouldn't have. Or in some cases, they're just, hedging their bets. Maybe they have the money, or they have the money in the bank, or they have a credit card. They want to see what the offer is from the lenders to see if it's worth it for them to take the financing. Otherwise, they'll use their own money or credit card. And for you, it's a win-win situation. So, be like the smarter businesses. Promote the financing, get it out there. Now we can help you with that. If you're a point of sale business, if you're the kind of business that has an office where people come into, we can provide you with signs for your office and also some marketing materials that just introduces financing. Let's talk about anything specific. It just introduces the concept of financing. So let us know if that's what you want. Contact us, contact our support, and you know, and we can get that out to you. But anyway, this is the program. I hope this was helpful to you. It's very very easy to use. This training is longer than it has to be. If you feel you need more, if you start running applications and something is not working the way you thought, or you're having trouble getting over a hump and having trouble structuring it, let us know and we can work with you. Also, we have other programs as well. So if you're in some verticals where there may be other programs, particularly like if you're in a retail business or something like that, we have a lot of different programs available, and we'll always make them available to you. So look for our emails introducing opportunities or our phone calls. We want you to be a customer for a very long time. We look forward to supporting you. And FlexBuy is a leader in this industry. So we're the cutting edge of programs. So we get new lenders all the time. Lenders come to us wanting us to offer their programs. So you want to be a client of ours, and you want to stay a client of ours. So when something new comes out, we can offer it to you, and it can make a tremendous difference to your business. So that's all for today. I hope this helps you. Look for other training videos along the way. There's going to be other videos to help you structure sales, marketing with FlexBuy, that kind of stuff. But in the meantime, this gives you using the direct to borrower platform 101. I hope it was helpful. Thank you and have a good day.